Today is a perfect day for harvesting my onions because it's a really nice dry day. You always want to do it on a dry day, you don't want any moisture on them. The tops are starting to fall over and dry out, and the bulbs are swollen up as much as they're going to now, and they're starting to form that papery skin on the outside. And that's the ideal time to harvest them. The green tops will need drying further, and the onions will want ripening a little bit further by laying them out in an airy, dry, light spot. But we don't want to leave them in the ground any longer, because when we start getting the dewy mornings or potentially any rain overnight, that can start rotting the bulbs. The bulbs are actually a storage organ that retains all the nutrients required for flowering early in the second year. And some of these have actually bolted or flowered early in the first year. We can't really store them. But most of them have got really nicely formed bulbs now, and I'm going to lift them using a fork rather than some of them will just pull out of the ground, but we're risking pulling the tops off and snapping them if you do that. And we want to retain the tops because they're really useful for plaiting the onions together and hanging them up for winter. So I'm taking them up and laying them out in the sun on my drying rack. It's a nice airy rack just made out of some wire mesh. These white onions are nearly there. I harvested them a couple of weeks ago. They're nearly ready for cleaning off the soil and papery skins and then plaiting into little long plats for hanging up. These I've just put out today. I've also got some shallots on here that are actually pretty much dry now, and I'll be able to take off all the excess papery skin. I can't plait them, but I'll be hanging them up in sort of string bags, again in a light frost-free place to last me through the winter. And these onions here are bolted, so I've discarded them. They're going back on the compost heap because they're no good and they won't store. But I've got quite a good harvest here this year. I've still got 2 more rows to harvest, but these should keep us going pretty much all the way through the winter if we store them correctly. So we just take off the papery outer skins and use the long stalks to sort of braid them into these long plaits which you can hang up. I usually dry them off a little bit further like this up in the hayloft and then bring them in to the kitchen for use over the winter.